physical store, and if you could just, automatically see reviews about a product, just scan a barcode, see the reviews. I think that's directionally, at least in the near future, that's something that is, at least I can perceive people as using.
Hi, I was wondering if any of you have considered things like FB Connect, OpenID for your own sites, instead of just going to Facebook, and if you have considered it, maybe why you decided not to use those?
Anyone try Open Connect?
Oh, we use it with beer.
Okay. Prashant, you want to try it, or is it Prashant? Go for it.
Oh, no, we use it. I think it's the questions for retailers.
Well, why would somebody use it versus not use it? I mean, what are the benefits, or?
I think it's really about owning your customer. And until recently, I think you didn't have email addresses. I mean, Facebook, you still feel like you're sharing the email address with Facebook. And I'm guessing big retailers, if you talk to retailers, they're really paranoid about sharing their customer database. And I suspect that's one reason why. But I mean, you guys can answer.
Well, I mean, for us, the email is really that core part of our customer profile. Yeah. So it would have been a major rework to make that happen. I mean, I think the goal ultimately for us is going to be to see if we can actually tie the Facebook fan or the Twitter follower back to the online profile, and maybe even incentivize our customers to do that for us, so that we can get that kind of lens of how they interact with us across different channels, and basically bribe them a little bit to do more of it. But we're not looking at it from that perspective.
Hi, my name is Don Martin. I'm with Armstrong, and we make this stuff up here and the stuff that we're standing on. If you look back up the supply chain, what looks like help from a manufacturer from the perspective of social media and retail?
Can you repeat the question? What was it?
If you look back upstream to your supply chain, and how do you want your suppliers, your manufacturers, to engage in the social media activity, and what looks like help to you from my engagement as a manufacturer?
I'll take this one. From my end, we were one of the first folks to use ratings and reviews, as well as Q&A, question and answer. And we use both those tools to kind of drive what products we sell, what products we take down. And we have a great relationship with our vendors, basically hooking them to the back end of both tools to let them answer those questions from the vendor's perspective, badged as vendors, as well as to kind of see the bad reviews. Some vendors love it, and they've made some changes. Some of the vendors don't like it, like to hear bad news about their products, but for us, it's really helped us reduce cancel rates and returns, and it's a great customer tool, I think.
And from our perspective, I would say it's the vendors giving us things to talk about. So whether it be content, or for us with the outdoor business, maybe athletes, where we can do an online piece similar to what you were talking about, perhaps with like the Greg Norman thing, but actually having the athlete go on for a session, just feeding us information or feeding us stuff to talk about.
I just talk about some of our customers. The biggest thing is, in fact, what's working in social media is really, you get the person to your website, and then how, increasing your conversion. I mean, reviews are an example. Q&A is an example of that. And a lot of times what we've seen is we've got a Q&A product that, people use on their sites and on Facebook, on Twitter. And, we hook it up into their product system, so you can actually recommend products as part of the answer. Now, what our customers are asking is, can the manufacturer also participate? Because they have product information. So if any question is there related to a product, can that question get sent over to the manufacturer? And the manufacturer gives the proper answer, and it's always there as part of the product information on the page itself. So, and the second thing is information. Like if you can get, an understanding of how popular products are, what are the defects in the product, and that's something that can be sent back to the manufacturer. Social media is a great place for that. So those are two things that, come to my mind.
Okay, I'll ask a question actually, probably to Lauren and Rich. So, we talked about Facebook, we talked about Twitter, but what happened to MySpace and Friendster and Tumblr and FriendFeed, and there's almost 60, at least, ones that I know of. that I have a name registered just in case one of them works. And so how do you decide? Is it demographic based? Is it just because you like Facebook? Or what is it based on?
It's a great question. I mean, I would say part of it's probably limited resources too. I mean, back to the woman's question, the very first question. I mean, we do have a couple dedicated people. We have a chief blogger, and we're hiring a chief listener. And then we have a lot of employees who actually contribute to our blogs. But beyond that, it's a lot of people's part-time. So we don't have a huge dedicated team and huge funding around it. So part of it, I think, is you do have to really hone in on where you want to go, where you'll maximize your presence. And I think Owen mentioned it earlier, you have to be really consistent in those forums. It's not okay to start a blog and update it every couple times a month. That doesn't get you a big fan following and give you much credibility. So I guess I would say part of it is really honing in on where you think you can connect with the most people, the most natural places. I know we've considered some of the other sites and just made decisions not to go there, again, from both resourcing or just we didn't think it would be as impactful a forum.
Rich, you want to answer?
Yeah, I think it just starts with kind of going where the party is, right? So there's definitely a big party happening out there, and just getting started out there and saying, hey, we're Walgreens, we're here too, and in an official capacity was great. For us, I mean, Facebook was obvious. We've all seen the stats on the volume there, but we did have about 10 or 12,000 fans from various organic, non-official groups that we migrated when we launched in September. So we had a foundation and a lot, having such a large employee base and a lot of them being on Facebook and Twitter was a big part of the decision, but we're definitely not done, and I think always going to be looking at whether it's Foursquare, whatever happens, we'll be with you right there, looking at how the space changes and testing along the way.
I think actually though that there's a bit of a lesson to be learned from the MySpace piece for retailers themselves, because at the time retailers thought, well, this is great, MySpace will let us do all this cool stuff and really push out promotions and have our brand all over the place. And we can really use this channel to sell stuff. And you saw what happened, basically. The people who were interfacing with MySpace said, well, you know what, that's not what I want MySpace for. It's a social media channel, and if you're just going to sell a bunch of stuff to me or allow other people to sell a bunch of stuff to me, I'm going to go someplace else. And so that can happen on a smaller level if you're a retailer out there on Facebook, say, and decide that all you're going to do is publish your latest promotion. Because you will lose fans, or they'll just turn you off from their wall or from their feed, in a nanosecond, and you'll just shoot yourself in the foot.
For us at Golfsmith, we looked at upstream and downstream traffic, kind of see where our users are going, where they're coming from. So in the purchase cycle, they come to our site, look at our products, leave, where do they go, and can we hit them up again? And we found out some interesting stuff. In December, Facebook was just behind our own email program on sites they visited before coming to Golfsmith. So again, if you're trying to decide, should I go with Twitter, or should I go to Facebook, or anywhere else, definitely look at where your audience is at and where they're going.
I've got a question. I've heard you talk about being able to start on a small budget with limited resources, as well as maybe hiring 1 or 2 people into your company to take on certain roles. Would you ever consider hiring an agency to take responsibility for any execution of any social media activity?
We like to have it in-house because we feel like that's a truer representation of our company. And I think it's very hard for an agency, I mean, there's some excellent agencies, but to really capture the essence. So we prefer to we think it's critical to have those functions in-house.
Yeah, I would second that, especially given the customer service aspect. I mean, that customer that called up and said, where's my order, or is using Facebook to say, where's my order? If you've got some agency person, in New York someplace, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, we have, being Walgreens, we have a lot of different agencies to work with for various things. And, of course, everybody cares about social media. So for me, it'd be a challenge. If you had one agency in charge of social media, but you really want social to be integrated into your marketing campaigns. So it's easier for it to be more owned in-house, but it's part of the dialogue of, ideally every campaign that we run is what's the social aspect to it.
Okay.
Yeah, hi. Yesterday we heard from a guy from Brooks Brothers who talked about how they're really trying to emphasize educating their